Ladies and gentlemen, we have bought a 2025 Yamaha R9. I know I had my doubts about this bike. I was naming off a bunch of reasons why, but I still wanted to get one as a replacement for the MT-07 because I figured this is still a little bit more exciting than the MT-07. So this one to me is replaceable. I could replace this with a different bike. I like this bike a lot, but I could go out and buy another one if I want to. There's no replacement on the R6, and that's why that bike is special to me. But to everybody watching this video who's never tasted that Kool-Aid, because majority of my audience is younger, if you guys have never tasted the Kool-Aid, you will never know any better. Today, I'm finally selling another motorcycle. Unfortunately, it's not this one just yet. I know I announced I'm selling it, just takes longer to sell this one because it costs more. Instead today, I am selling my 2025 Yamaha R9. I really wish I could be doing a video riding this bike, giving the reasons why I'm selling it, but there's a small problem. It's unfortunately snowing quite a little bit. So as much as I want to come in here and give you guys a list of reasons why you should never buy a Yamaha R9 and it's a terrible bike and it sucks and that's why I'm selling it, I fear that would be disingenuous to how I feel about this motorcycle. I genuinely don't want to sell this bike, despite the fact I think it has a few problems with it. I think it's a genuinely great motorcycle that I think anyone who buys it is going to enjoy it. But I just have a hard time believing that this is the best motorcycle and the end-all be-all of what you should buy. People much smarter than me have talked a lot about this motorcycle. It's got cruise control, it has navigation, all the power modes you could ever need. And they're still selling these for $12,000. It's a pretty good deal. When you compare it to something like my Yamaha R6, it's much more usable on the street. It's smooth, it has plenty of power for the street. And for anyone going from a 300 or 400 level motorcycle, you're going to be just fine on a bike like this. But my main and pretty much only issue with the modern Yamaha R9 is it's just lacking a tiny bit of horsepower. If it had a little bit more horsepower, I think this would be the perfect motorcycle. But unfortunately, all Yamaha did is take the same motor from the MT-09, slap it in a sport bike, give it a new frame, and call it a day. And while if I think that this bike made like 10 more horsepower, I think that would have been perfect. Compared to every other motorcycle I own, including my R6, it's just lacking that little bit of fun factor. No power in second gear, but let's go! This bike redlines at 10,500 RPM. It's not enough for it to be a screamer. When I'm blasting through the gears on this bike trying to have fun, it feels more like I'm driving a cruiser, dare I say, more than a sport bike. I think if this was the only bike that I owned, I think I would be pretty satisfied because I wouldn't know what I'm missing. That all changed when I bought this bike, my Triumph Daytona 765. This is a bike that makes, I want to say 15 or 20 more horsepower than the R9. It's an inline 3, just like the R9. It revs higher than the R9. It has better suspension, higher quality components, and I bought this bike for the exact same price as that R9. Sure, it's not a more reliable machine, it's much more unreliable. It also lacks the cruise control, which also sucks, but this is what the R9 should have been. It's because of that last 10 to 15 horsepower, that completely changes the dynamic of the motorcycle. The last thing I want to do is be a downer on anybody's dream bike. If this is your dream bike, it is genuinely a good motorcycle. I put 6,500 miles on this motorcycle, more than any other motorcycle that I own. That should tell you I did love this bike. In terms of other minor complaints, the quality on this bike isn't great. The plastics on this bike are a little bit cheap. The paint quality doesn't feel great. Even though this is an exclusive frame to the R9, this is the exact same subframe as an MT-09, which is why you get this really weird flare at the back of the bike. As of right now, I only have plans to sell the H2. The R6 is a bike that I plan on holding on to. The 698 is a bike that I can't seem to bring myself to let go of. The 765 is a better R9, so I plan on holding to that. And the V4 is, well, it's the V4. Selling a bike is unfortunately not an easy decision, but it's a decision I think I need to make nonetheless. The price in which I'm selling this bike for may surprise people. So I bought this bike for, I think after taxes, it was about $14,000. The R9 MSRP is at $12,500 right now. And after putting 6,500 miles on this bike, I am selling it with that many miles and these modifications done to it. I paid about $1,000 for that exhaust, and I got the tune on this bike for free. I never put a fender eliminator on this bike. I kind of just left it as it was. And so after everything being said, I think I put about $15,000 to almost $16,000 into this bike. And I am selling it for $10,500. Motorcycles are not meant to make money. Unfortunately, when you ride a motorcycle for 6,000 miles, you're tending to lose a little bit of value. As soon as you drive it off the dealership lot, you're gonna lose a little bit of value, unfortunately. But as I described in the video where I announced I'm selling the H2, I need to make room in my garage. I have too many motorcycles. I cannot keep track of them all. I feel like I'm not riding them all enough. This is not a financial decision. I wanna make that clear. I'm losing money on this transaction. This bike is probably worth more to me than what it is worth selling. But there are just other bikes in my garage I would rather ride than the R9. And in a lot of ways, I feel like the R9 is becoming a distraction more than a piece of enjoyment. In terms of what comes next, we're gonna talk about it. And how kind of my buddy Austin to show up and help me out. Yeah, she's heavy. 3, 2, 1. Well, the R9 is fully loaded up. It feels slightly bittersweet, though I'm not gonna miss it. I think I'm gonna miss the memories that holds, but we gotta make room for other things. Yeah, dude, 6,500 miles. She served her purpose well. Get one last little good look at her, because once she's gone, she's unfortunately not gonna be returning. Driving on these roads on the way to where I'm gonna sell the bike, these roads are caked in salt. It's a good thing I'm not riding the bike right now because she would be getting torn apart by that salt. I had to pull off right before I got there because this is the last time an R9 will be featured on the page. I've regretted selling a lot of bikes over the years. This kind of reminds me a lot of my Yamaha R1 that I sold 2 years ago. I sold that bike in the middle of winter, kind of like what I'm doing right now. The difference is the R9 is not at risk of not being sold anymore. When I sold my Yamaha R1, I think it was like 2 weeks after they got announced that they were being discontinued. And then Yamaha magically started making them again. I don't know. My point is, I'm selling this as a bike that I can just turn around. If I do dearly miss it, I can probably just turn around and buy this bike again in the future anyway. And the way that I think that things are going, I feel like Yamaha is going to come out with a version of this bike that's going to make more horsepower in the future anyway. As that being the biggest complaint about this bike. If Yamaha just gives it a little bit more horsepower, I think it literally could be the best bike on the market. And I want to make that point. It's not because it only makes 110 horsepower. Oh, it's not a liter bike. Doesn't make 200 horsepower. That's why I'm selling it. I like bikes, I think, with that magical 130 horsepower number. My enjoyment on the Triumph, I think, is a testament to that. But this bike is more akin to like an R7. It's not quite a middleweight. And without further ado, boys, we have arrived to State 8 Motorcycles, the final resting place of my ownership experience with the Yamaha R9. Well, there she goes, boys. There's the guy who sold it to me originally. Come get it. I guess so the dealership is buying it. I originally thought Christian, my guy here, was gonna pick it up as like a track bike or something. I don't know what I thought.
I don't know yet.
I don't know, it's up to you. But I think this bike has officially run its course to me, and we have bigger, maybe emphasis on bigger, I don't know. Hopefully bigger things and better things coming. One last little start on the R9. Man, I'm gonna miss this bike a lot. One last little rev. There she goes, boys. Tragic. Farewell, little bike. There she goes. And it seems like as I came in here, someone else just bought an R9 that is identical to mine. So 2 R9s in the same place. That's kind of cool to see. There's an H2SX right here as well. Although these are not true H2s. They come with like a little bit detuned of a motor, but they are technically still supercharged. Honda CBR 1000. I low-key really like these motorcycles, but I've just never figured out a way to fit it into my garage. I like these bikes a lot, but when they lack the cruise control and all the features, I'd rather just get an S1K, in my opinion. Still really good bikes though. And lastly, this Rocket 3 has been capturing my attention. I'm not buying anything today. I told myself I'm just selling the R9, but in terms of what is capturing my interests, dude, I keep talking about this bike. And Eve keeps telling me to buy this bike too. It's not helping when I have somebody I love in my ear telling me to buy something. It's like, yeah. I feel like the old heads on my page would love me to buy this bike though. 2,500 cc's, the biggest production motorcycle engine on the market. I don't know. I need more time to think about it. I need to graduate first. I can't be thinking about spending another $25,000 on a bike right now. Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, goodbye R9. Well, boys, I think that brings an official end to the Yamaha R9 saga. It was a sweet bike to have on the page for a little bit, and I always say it's a little bit bittersweet to let go of something, but the garage now feels slightly more empty, and it honestly feels like a big, massive weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I really try my best to not buy bikes for content, because I don't think that would be entertaining. Kind of counterintuitive. If I'm walking around buying motorcycles because I want to look cool on social media, I don't think that's something that people want to watch. And it's also certainly not what I want to do. The R9 was an anomaly because that was a bike that was always going to be successful. I think people were interested in that bike. And since it was a brand new model and nobody had any expectations, it was cool to go into it and see if it was the bike that I thought it was going to be. Unfortunately, in my case, That's just not what it was. And especially considering I bought an R6 right before the R9 came out, I had very high expectations for that bike that I don't think I could have met. This is a bike that is currently discontinued due to modern emission standards. Modern emission standards that the R9 has to meet. So this has a little bit of an unfair advantage. Is the R9 a better motorcycle with more features? Yeah, and you'll often find that sentiment parroted by people in the motorcycle space. There'll be a lot of glazatory statements about the R9 because it is a good bike. But as someone who grew up gushing over bikes like these that rev super high, like this generation of motorcycles, this is what speaks to me. And the Triumph is just closer to that type of motorcycle, while also compromising and being halfway between this and the R9. I also just have a garage full of sport bikes that low-key kind of all do the same thing. They each have their own different character, but at the end of the day, they're all just bikes I take out and go fast around my little twisties. So next year, I want to start mixing things up a little bit. I would like to get into different models of motorcycles. There's a few different bikes that I have on my mind right now, and I would really like to stay away from content that's like, look at my flashy motorcycle and look how cool it is. And I would like to get down to what I personally think is me at my best, which is just a kid going out riding and posting whatever happens. Less about the type of motorcycle I'm riding and just the result of me just existing out in the world on a bike. With all that being said, let me know what you guys would be interested in seeing me have. You know, as I expand my horizons on the type of motorcycles that I'm riding, I don't really have a lot of experience outside of sport bikes, so just let me know what you think. I just need to sell you next. With all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Hopefully when we're riding, not in this miserable cold weather. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.